Welcome to My Creative Corner 3, a podcast about quilting, crafting, creativity, with a dash of garden, chatting about current interests and life in my northern town. You can find show notes at mycreativecorner3.com. You can also find all of my social media, how to purchase a virtual cup of coffee, and all events on the website. Please feel free to stop by and leave a comment. I really appreciate everyone who listens. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to the podcast. Hello everyone, it's June 12th. My goodness, we have gone from the very busy and hectic days of spring into the slow, gentle days of June. Summer's here. I just can't believe we went from winter, a short spring, to summer. So let's rewind a little bit. You remember the last time we had been cleaning up from the massive ice storm that happened in March. Well, guess what? We're still cleaning up from that ice storm. We're still working on getting twigs picked up. The garden was raked out and set for spring, and it's growing quite well. But there's just a lot of work to do when you have such a very large and widespread damaging storm. It's just going to take months to clean out. And the area, it looks damaged, but we're back and doing the best we can. But some things like trees and some wooded areas and some parks, they're open, they're just not the same. And that's been kind of a struggle for me over the spring. I'm used to having lots of trees around my house, and over the years they have disappeared due to storm damage and disease and just trees and at the end of their lives, as well as becoming dangerous. So we have a lot more sun streaming into the house, which I like, but it also means there's a lot more sun streaming into the house. We've had the air conditioner running because it's been in the 70s and 80s with an occasional low day of 60s. And we are doing those summer projects. We only get a short summer. It's right around 90 to 120 days. And in the spring, I'm out the gate just feeling like, man, if I don't get it all done quickly, it's not going to get done. And this is not the year for that. It is not going to get done quickly. There are still things that we want to do that are fun. There's still Highland games to go to. There are family and friends to see. There's weddings to attend. There are days to just rest and recuperate. And if you don't listen to your body, it always lets you know. And that's kind of what happened over the last couple of weeks. I felt like I had been doing great. I had the spring cleanup, the decluttering, the massive parts of the yard. I was just a part of all of that business. My husband and we had some friends help on all of these things. But then I started to not feel well over the last couple of weeks. And I believe it's allergies coupled with the smoke from wildfires in Canada that are really settling here in Michigan and in the Midwest. And then I started having these strange headaches and eye problems, and where you get squiggles in your eyes and flashes in your eyes. And I've had these kinds of headaches before, and it's been suggested that maybe they're a type of migraine or ocular migraine. I did go to the eye doctor, and sure enough, she looked at my eyes incredibly well and said, "You're having ocular migraines." So here we are, all these years later, and I, in fact, am having them, and they've just been bothering me. In addition, I had a change in my prescription, so it's made things like cross-stitching hard, close-up stuff. Yep, the old bifocal lenses have changed. So I decided I really needed to just slow down a little bit. do the tiny tidies and just slowly but surely, in 15 to 20 minutes at a time, at least once a day, work on projects, and things have turned around. I'm still making progress on all of the things that I want to make progress on, like projects that we'll talk about, decluttering, organizing, and a little weeding here and there in the garden. But what I've decided is that in this slowing down process, I've had a lot of things being brought up in like the journal subscriptions that I have. One is Silk and Sonder is the main one that I do. It is a journal you get once a month. And so this month, the theme is purpose. What is your purpose? And I was like really overthinking that. We are only 12 days into the month, and I may get 12 more days of insight, but May's was simplicity and June is purpose. And I love these themes because they make me really stop and think, oh, what's my purpose? Well, I don't know 100% yet, but I realized what I used to think was my purpose maybe isn't my purpose. I mean, working is important, and being a parent was important and still is important, but is it my sole purpose? I think there's a lot more to it, and it's very personal, but I think where I need to be spending a good chunk of my time is looking at all of the beauty, the nature, all of the joy that we have been blessed with, and they are all really on a more personal spiritual level, and that includes creativity. And the only way you're going to find it is slowing down and embracing the seasons. And so summer, I got thinking, what does summer mean to me? Because New Year's is fall because school started. So this is the time of the year. In fact, today is the last day of school because we had so much snow this year that the schools are, the public school is just letting out today at noon. And we would rejoice as children, screaming and yelling and throwing all of our backpacks into the house, kicking off our shoes, putting on our shorts, sit in front of the TV and relaxing. Summers to me as a kid was relaxing, working on crafts, watching shows, game shows. We had movies back then, believe it or not. It was the early days of HBO and types of machines where you could play movies and you could buy them or rent them or mail order. Remember early Blockbuster days? I was even before that, but there were still primitive forms of those things. And just being outside, picking berries, strawberries, blueberries, ferns growing, trees becoming fully leafed out, and all of the flowers, wildflowers, cultivated flowers. And of course, June is the month where the animals really are starting to be seen. All of the spring babies are really starting to be a little bit bigger so you can see them, like the deer and the turkeys and all of the songbirds, and their first clutches are done. And so I want to think that farmers are probably in June. We're getting way past a lot of the early births, but there still is a lot of small animals that are growing, and the summer is the time of growth, green, and maybe sitting on a beach or by a river and just chilling. We also did the summer reading program at the library, and I go to the library periodically, and I find that I don't read books as much as I used to, but I do get books on my phone, audiobooks, and I have a tablet where I can read books that I check out on Libby and Hoopla. And so one that I am waiting for is the follow-up book to The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. And let me find the full name and author of the book. I can't recommend it because I haven't read it yet, and I'm waiting for it. And it is a second book by the author who wrote the Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning, Margareta Magnusson. And the book is called The Swedish Art of Aging Exuberantly. And I thought, oh, I love that. And the subtitle of the book, because she's very elderly when she wrote these books, is Life Wisdom from Somebody Who Will Probably Die Before You. And I thought that is so tongue-in-cheek and funny and sweet, and definitely that is on my list for reading this summer. And it's all about life, living life exuberantly. So I thought, wow, my goodness, what does summer mean for me now as an adult? Because as a kid, summer was about not taking classes. It was about resting and being creative and just pretty much not doing a whole lot until we were old enough to get jobs. But we still had chores and things. But as an adult and as an older student, summer sometimes were like summer classes. They could be fun things, and all kinds of like summer swim lessons and music classes. I took a lot of different types of music classes, and summer was a time to do all kinds of camps, which is a fancy word for classes, but they were different than school. They were a little more relaxed and more fun, and I thought maybe that's what I'm going to do this summer. I really want to tap into creativity. I feel like this year has been full of winter in 2025. The 2024-2025 winter, officially yesterday, came out that we had 205 inches of snow, according to the National Weather Service, plus that horrific ice storm that was being declared, I think, a disaster. And they're still trying to get funding to build, rebuild, and clean up the mess, except for in the public forest areas. So the concern I have is there's lots and lots of trees down, but they don't generally go in and take all that down wood out. They let nature take its course. The roads are cleared, but now we have all that dry wood. Oh, yes. We have not had massive fires in a long time, but it's making me nervous. So anyway, back to summer school and fun times. Because yes, forest fires in the summer are part of my childhood too. But those are parts that we don't like to think about. So I thought I wanted to do more inspired things to help me become inspired, to get back that creative flow, feeling like I wake up and have inspiration in the morning, or when the moments of just kind of those magical moments where you're like, that would be a great thing to do because I saw maybe a bird or the light on a specific flower. So I thought, okay, I'm going to follow along with the Wonder Habit, which is Summer of Wonder. And she has a really great way to pause and focus. She says it's a 4-step process. It's Michelle Perry. Her 4 steps are to find wonder. We need to slow down a little bit. And number 1, notice those micro moments of goodness and wonder. 2, write it down. Now you can do that in a phone or a journal. And then reflect on it for 30 seconds. To sit with it and to have your mindful moment. Because a lot of times things pass within 30 seconds, like clouds or lights or a bee on a flower. They're just a quick mindful moment. And if we aren't slowing down and taking that 30 seconds to breathe and pause, we'll miss it. And then the last thing is, if you can, take a photo, and then you can either share it online, you can talk to people about it and sharing it. You can share it in a scrapbook or a journal or an art journal. And I thought, isn't that a really lovely way to really move forward with having the curiosity of a child, the wonder of a child, and the slowdown and summer of what it was like when I was a kid. So that's the first thing I'm doing. The second thing is I absolutely love June's prompts for the Fat Mom Slim photo a day. My goodness, I haven't done a 30-day photo challenge with Fat Mom Slim in quite a while, just because, after a while, it gets hard to do a photo every day for months or years. I did them for years at a time. At the dawn of Instagram is when she started this. And what I like about the whole June is she wrote a really beautiful caption to go with it. Because June is all about the month we're capturing real life moments. So often we compare our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, but not this month. Real, don't you think? And then the next part of it is this month we're capturing these moments because social media, we're going to quote and highlight that quote and think about it. Social media is the highlight reel. Real life is the bloopers, the outtakes, and the stuff you never post. And that's where the magic really is. I'm like, absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. And they're funny. So the first few are like, the mess I'm ignoring. Forgot I owned this. Accidental art. Shouldn't be here. Something in my drawer. And then there's things like unread books that deserve better. Oh, don't you know me? That's me. How about who put this here? Chaotic corner. So I am tuning up my photography skills because that's a whole nother set of creativity, and posting on social media has gotten to be a drudgery for me in a lot of ways. And I thought this could be a way to make it fun, to do the Summer of Wonder post and then do the Fat Mom Slim real life posts. And then I got thinking about, well, what could I do to be more creative? So I started scouring the internet because without snow on the ground, 205 inches, it takes a while to melt, and then all that ice, and the weather's good. And I didn't see any classes at the Fused Glass artist. She has not as many classes in the summer, as most people don't because they're vacationing, but she also has a new grandbaby, and the classes she's offering in the summer months are ones I've already taken. So then I got scouring the internet for more, and I found that, my goodness, in the end of May and June, there were 3 different week-long free virtual retreats. The kind where they put up many classes a day for 5 days, and you have 24 hours to watch them. And if you really want to spend money and dive deep, you can buy the the classes and have access to them forever. But I just wanted to watch and be inspired. So the first one is one of my favorites. It's about slow stitching, and she really expanded the crafts in it this year for making Zen. I really was amazed by the number of people and how many different techniques they use for making fabric collages. They did other things too in this class this year. There were people who were like upcycling and making really cool found items, and some people were doing vegetable dyeing, and some people were making like bags and pockets and purses. And the one I fell in love with was Dizzy Quilter. She is a very modern quilter with Gotham City Quilts, I think is the name of the quilt shop, and she did a very simple and yet very beautiful and appealing landscape with slow stitching, where you cut out all your pieces, you lay them down, pin them Don't fuse them if you don't want to. Some people fuse and baste and all that. And then she did just straight stitching, kind of Kantha style, and maybe in a straight stitch to make spirals to tack all of these down, all these pieces. Now you gotta remember, these are small, like maybe a little bit bigger than an index card. And then she showed many items that you could make using these little slow stitched fabric collages. This spoke to me. I loved it. I did this one and I made a mountain scene and I loved it. There were some people that did other types of collages like hummingbirds and florals and layering and using interfacing and then putting it all tacked down on interfacing and putting like netting over the top. I've seen those types of quilts being made and then hand stitch all over it. But those are thicker and there's a lot of stuff to have to stitch through. And I was like, those are cool, but I was really more into that simple landscape. And she made like an art journal out of fabric and made them like a soft covered quilted book. And I'm going to take those ideas and do some more. Now, other people made small ones and they used them in their art journal, doing very small, like little applique pieces and then using it on a mixed media art journal page. That was fun. The next week I did was called Felted Fungi, and we did 2 projects and we took actually 10 days to do. A needle felted mushroom that was incredibly detailed and looked like a real mushroom. Mine didn't quite look as real as the artist's. And then a little picture where you do a flat needle felting. And I saw this also in the Making Zen. Someone did needle felting on holes in your clothing to mend it. So I kind of thought that would be a great mashup, wouldn't it? Really liked it, the felted fungi, and I learned a lot about needle felting because I'm a self-taught needle felter and YouTube has been my teacher, and the lady who ran this was amazing. So it was great. It was slow. It was low pressure. And you only had 2 projects. For the other ones, like if you wanted to do everything, and some people, believe me, did all of them, they're like 5 to 7 projects a day that you could do. More for inspiration for me, not so many to do. Then the other week-long retreat was the Week of Art. It was a workshop week is what it's called, the title, but it was more about painting, hand lettering, coloring, pen and ink, and doing those types of crafts and creativity. And I tried some hand lettering because I've tried that before, and I watched a couple different teachers and really had some great ideas. So that was very inspiring. When I finished these up, I kept looking online because I wanted more, and I found a pottery studio about 50 miles from my house, and they have mixed media classes there. And mixed media means she offers all kinds of things, but the person who owns the studio is a potter. She does throwing and firing of pottery and glazing, and she offers all kinds of classes from hand building to how to do a wheel and kiln and all that. But she also has things that other teachers come in and teach, like candle making. I can't do the first one, but I want to. Macrame. She's a great macrame person. And then she uses her little pottery pieces in the macrame for wall art. That was really pretty. I might take one of those classes. She had make a tea bag holder with alcohol inks and all kinds of things that are very appealing. Soap making. I always wanted to do that. So definitely going to keep looking at all of the different things. Oh, Bob Ross, that's the one. I thought I might try this. You can take a class with all of the supplies provided for you they turn on a Bob Ross video. There is a teacher guiding you, and everyone in the class paints with Bob. I thought, oh, definitely. I'm definitely doing that. But what I took was a collage class. And we used scrapbook papers with all pretty different colors and tissue paper. And we traced a general simple outline. And we were doing a blue jay. And we used Mod Podge, or at the class, I didn't finish it at class. She used an acrylic media and gel media, something like that. And just ripped, tore, cut, and filled in your little lines and made a blue jay on a branch. It was so cool. I learned a lot about how to build collages back to front, kind of like you would do a picture, which I don't know. I just kind of start and go with the flow, right? And I really, really did learn a lot. There was no way I was going to finish this whole thing. There's a lot of pieces in my collage in the 3-hour class that we had. But they sent me home with some paper and the board that it was watercolor paper, was taped to, and I was able to finish that at home in another setting of about an hour, but I just needed a break. It's like any other project. Sometimes you gotta walk away because it starts all looking mushy and you just start slapping things on to get it done. I'm very proud of my blue jay. It's pretty rough for a first go round, but it was enough, very inspiring, and I really learned a lot. So what she gave us was a little mat frame to put it around to make your piece of work of art. And I put that little mat board in my collage in an old wooden frame and hung it on the wall until it fades out. I just thought, you know what? I really, really had fun with that. And if I keep it out, it may inspire me to try even more. So those are all of the classes that I've done this month, and it's only the 12th. Okay, it's probably been 3 weeks, a little bit at the end of May. But that really got me thinking about what I really want to work on and focus on this summer. I went to the hobby store. The only one I have is Hobby Lobby. And I bought an inexpensive watercolor set as well as a mixed media journal for my Summer of Wonder layout. So there's 2 little journals in there, and I thought, well, maybe the second one can be for the fall. And I don't want to do like lots and lots of layouts every day. I really want to spend time, kind of like I did with that blue jay, and make it more of these mixed media pages, collages with paper paints, and maybe some of those little fabric appliques, and make it a Summer of Wonder themed art journal, because I finished my old art journal up. I was doing the 100-day project. That was so much fun. It was the 100 Days of Wonder, and I was doing a little art project with the journaling prompts. And that was quite inspiring, and it's really what got me rolling with this summertime and wanting to have more inspiration and kind of try new things and unwind a little bit, because I think I got myself really working hard. Between work was really been working. We've been working hard all 2025, and yet trying to take some time now to recuperate from all of that. So this is what I have been working on. I finished, drum roll please, the very large queen-sized quilt, the last customer quilt that I have been working on for months. I finished it. I have buried the threads on it, and she is coming back up north to pick them up and go to her cabin next week. I have 2 quilts of hers that I've been working on for good 9 months. I decided, because I'm so slow, and it's becomes not fun anymore. I'm not doing, I'm retiring from the customer quilts, especially while I'm working. I might change my mind when I retire from my job, but right now, with the all of the things, I'm retiring from customer quilts at this moment. So I want to work on some fun things. So the first fun project I'm working on is a collaboration on a little art quilt with a friend of mine for a fiber art show. I'm going to try to get that quilted in the next day or two so it can hang at the show. And it is something that I can't really explain, and I'll take a picture of it when I'm done. But it's an art quilt, and there's a lot of symbolism in it, and it's applique, and it's about out of acorns is growing new energy, and the representation of new energy, clean energy, renewable. To me, it's pure energy is new energies for cars and our modern life, yet being kind to the earth. So we'll see how that turns out. It's pretty cool. I like working on these kinds of projects with my friend Holly, and we'll see how it looks at the end. Because the whole thing is really not about the end. It's about the process that we each had in making this quilt. And she'll get to keep the quilt. It's just so much fun to do really free reign on a quilt. It's small. I think it's like 36 by 42 in that ballpark. And it's got a lot of different techniques in it. I think she did some painting on it and ink and applique. More power to her, because applique, it's not my thing. Oh my gosh, my allergies are starting to get me going again. One moment, please. I'm also working on continuing the Lori Holt, World of Lori Holt 2 pattern in her little extra book. I'm going to say I hate the way they wrote this pattern. It sucks so bad, but the quilt is very cute. But I'm going to Lori Holt Club once a month, and I'm getting about a block a week done. So when I go to the club, I can show her a few things and then work on another quilt block and maybe get some help from the quilt shop owner. So far, on every one I've gone to, no one else has come. So we'll see how long she offers the Lori Holt Club. The other thing that I'm working on is the Family Favorites Quilt Along, and the Fat Quarter Shop is sponsoring that. It's from a Brightly Quilt sampler in the Family Favorites book by Sherry and Chelsea. We have 4 more blocks to sew. So 2 this month and 2 next month. They're called mosaic blocks. I'll work on those. They're not due to be published until the end of the month. And then we will assemble them, and I want to have that quilt top about done by the end of summer. And then it will go into the stack of quilts to quilt. And I'm focusing more on long arming my quilts and binding. I haven't bound one stinking quilt all winter or spring, and I'm just so mad at myself. I just can't bring myself to do it. I don't like binding. I don't like it so much that I am procrastinating on it. I don't mind the hand stitching down part, but I just really need to get these quilts bound and done, and then start focusing on things I really, really, really want to work on, and maybe slow down in the number of quilts I'm making and make them more detailed and slow down the process, because I have a lot of quilts in this house. I really have a lot of quilts in this house, but I'm going to keep making quilts. I just need to not make so many quilts. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. There's going to come a point I don't know where to put them. So then other things that I want to work on is that the Quilt Guild I belong to has 3 panel challenges going, or 3 challenges going, and I chose to do the panel challenge. And I don't know what they're going to think about what I'm going to do, but I think I'm going to do an improv quilt by cutting up the panel that we all got, and everyone is to do something creative with it. And it's the All Michigan Shop Hop panel, which is a panel of Michigan with all of the things Michigan is known for. And I don't know that I find that this panel is particularly attractive as it is. And who knows if it's going to be attractive when I'm done with it. But that's the fun of improv. You have a little idea and you keep going. So I haven't started that yet, but I'm thinking about it. And that's the thing about improv quilting, takes a lot of decision making and brain power, which I've been lacking in the last few years, but I'm feeling like I'm getting back to my more creative self with the long COVID, and I'm ready to try improv. And then I have a couple of other responsibilities, a few placemats to make for the charity for the Quilt Guild, which is Meals on Wheels. Make sure everybody has a placemat for their holiday meal at Christmas time. I'm also practicing color work knitting, and I'm doing the piece by piece blanket. And it's just really a lot of just trying to figure out and remember how to do color work. I'm about a quarter of the way through one little block. I chose Lion brand yarn. It's a 24/7 cotton blend, and it's worsted weight, and it knits up really nicely. It's way more beautiful than anything you'd use for washcloths. It's nothing like that. It's really pretty, and the colors are very vibrant. So I'm really excited to get going. And what I like about this particular is a sampler. Every block has a different color combo, and there's about 12 blocks that are done over and over again, and then you take your blocks and connect them together and make this really cute sampler blanket. Now she makes one that's really huge, and I don't know that I'm going to make it that big. I'm going to just see how much yarn I have and where the interest and how long the interest in this project takes me. Because honestly, I'm the world's slowest knitter. I love doing blocks though. So I think I will probably get the blocks done. It's just joining the blocks, right? It's like the granny square. I love making granny squares, and I still have a bag of Lori Holt chunky thread granny squares going. It's just putting them all together for the table, or it's a runner that I want for my entertainment center. And those are some things that I'm thinking about, and leaving some time for me to take more classes and try other things, and not overdo my schedule. I also want to be outside more. I want to work with my garden and plants and try to get our yard looking a little bit nicer, and just to be outside is a great way to, and maybe go pick up some more rocks and rock hounding. I enjoy doing that. I'm trying to be very picky about the rocks that I pick up, and I really do want to find a Yooper light when we take our little vacation after the 4th of July. We're going to start in Paradise, Michigan, and drive to Hell, Michigan. And it's recreating a vacation that my grandmother took with her BFF, where she went to Hell and Paradise in one day. Oh my gosh, they were funny. And we're going to do that and stop at all the tourist places along the way. Do some lookouts, maybe do Tequamanon Falls. I have no idea. We're just going to have a loose plan with a few highlights and do all the silly tourist things in Hell, Michigan. Yes, it is a place. It is a tourist destination. And I thought, for 2025, it was supposed to be a great year for me, according to the horoscopes, if you believe that, which I don't. But I'm laughing because it said 2025 was supposed to be Gemini's best year of their life ever. And it's so far, been quite the opposite. And the funny thing about it is like, well, why not? I live up north and we're going south. There's going to be the descent into hell for this year. It's just a joke. If you find it offensive, I'm sorry, but it's funny. I think it's funny. My grandma would think it was very, very funny because she was that type of person and had a wicked sense of humor. And when we get down there, we're going to go to Damnation University and order ice cream and eat them out of little casket waffle cones or some stupid thing. It's a joke. Be fun, lighten up, because I take things as the introverted, serious person I am. And I'm learning that part of summer is just being a kid and doing funny, fun things. So that's where we're at. We have a Highland game at the end of the month. We have a wedding to go to the weekend after that. And the good news about our vacation is we are going to be out of town for the local festival. And this is one of the few times we're out of town. Now, our local festival is called Alpenfest. What the heck is Alpenfest? It means Alpine Festival. We are supposed to be the sister city to a Swiss town called Pontresina, Switzerland. Okay, it's all a tourist thing. Like the heritage here is not Swiss, but we're called the Alpine Village because of the elevation. We're one of the highest elevation in the northern lower peninsula. Do not think that we are anywhere near the elevation of Upper Peninsula, Porcupine Mountains, Keweenaw, and all of that. We get a lot of snow, 205 inches, like I said. They got way more up in the Keweenaw Peninsula of the UP and along Lake Superior. But it's a great call to tourists. We have a lot of skiing here, and of course with the weather over the last few years not having as much snow, skiing is the big thing. Snow sports, snowmobiling, all that. Do I do that stuff? No, I do not. Why do I live here? I don't know. But I do enjoy the snow, but man, this year was long. But I digress. So that's why we don't want to be here for the week of the festival, because it's also the big call to the tourist trade. In the summer, we have a huge camping, outdoorsy types of folk like to come up and camp and hike. And we have the woods and fish. There is hunting too, and golfing. Gaylord at one time had the slogan that we were the summer golf mecca, which, I'm sure compared to some of the larger massive golf places, ours is kind of small, but we do have a couple of courses that were pretty fancy and I think got awards in their day. Do I golf? No, I don't golf either. But we want to be out of town because last year they said 80,000 people came to our town's little festival. And this year is the 60th anniversary of the Alpenfest. And they expect probably 100,000 people. My town is small. Like, I don't know, 5,000 people, I think. I think only 10,000 live in our entire county. We do not have that much space. And where do they put the festival? Right downtown. Where do I live? Not far from downtown. And the traffic is cut off on the main street. And the festival is the entire downtown area. And they divert the main highway, which is our main street, around the north and the south of town. And I live on the north of town on the detour. I cannot get in and out of my driveway. I can't go to work. I can't come home for lunch. It's very stressful to work that week because it's always very busy and short-staffed because most people want out of town. And we decided we're not going to be here. Kids don't have anything for us to be in because our children are adults. That always kept us here for band and all that kind of stuff. Everybody had something to do. in the festival. So all that to say is I am looking forward to not being here and to be somewhere else and be a tourist somewhere else in Michigan the week after the 4th of July, which happens to be on a Friday this year. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to lock our house up, turn on the Ring doorbell, and make sure everybody that parks in my driveway are people that I know. I have friends and neighbors who keep an eye out because, yes, we do get a lot of that too. So that's the podcast this week. I have been keeping busy. I'm working on quilting, crafting, all types of creativity. Please share and comment, all of the things that you do to help support someone's little podcast and helping other people find it with algorithms and all of the other podcasts in the universe. It's always great to have new people come and listen to the podcast. Welcome to new people, and thank you so much for those who have been faithful listeners. Other ways to support the podcast is I do publish Saturday morning coffee on the blog once a week or on Substack, and that is a free article to read. I also do some shorts on YouTube and Facebook. I have a Facebook group, My Creative Corner 3. You could buy a virtual cup of coffee, and I appreciate everybody, all of the kind words I've got over the last little bit. Donna even subscribed to Substack, and it just warms my heart that people are continuing to listen after the several years of doing this. And I am excited this summer to share about my journey in having the Summer of Wonder and what kind of classes I'm going to be able to find. So come along. I look forward to hearing about your classes. What do you do for summer? What was your childhood summers like? And I will see you next time. Have a great day, and everyone, be creative.